إن الحمد لله نستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهد الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد. In the previous khutbah I gave, I tried to explain that, the Quran is a source of guidance. And that to look at the Quran as simply a book of do's and do nots, as nothing more than a fiqh manual or something like that, is not the way to approach the Quran. And in the previous khutbah I had also said that, the scholars have counted the number of ayats in the Quran which actually have commands. And depending on how they categorize that, it's between maybe 100 and 500 ayahs of the Quran are actually commands, which means the rest of them, 6,000 odd. What is it? It's guidance. It's guidance which, as readers, listeners of the Quran should come into you, should absorb it, and it makes you have, what's the word we should use here? A Quranic personality, a Quranic character, a Quranic mindset, if you like. Okay? And we know that this is how the Prophet ﷺ was. We know Aisha radiallahu anha described the Prophet ﷺ as a walking Quran. Okay? So the Prophet ﷺ, he obviously had the Quran in his heart. He lived by it. So it's important for us to, first of all, understand the Quran. We can't live by the Quran unless we make an attempt to understand it. So first we understand it, and then we try and, put that mindset, personality, whatever we want to call it, in our hearts. Now, one of the most beautiful examples of this way that the Quran gives you guidance is Surah Kahf. Okay, Surah Kahf, the 18th surah of the Quran. Now, in this surah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives multiple stories and multiple lessons. He doesn't actually give any rulings in this surah, or very few real rulings, very few things in this surah which says this is haram, this is halal, this is a faraid. This is very little of that. But the lessons through the stories that are told to us are so profound that if you can, act on this surah, it can make a huge difference in your life. The great Indian scholar Abu Hassan Ali Nadwi, who died a few years ago, may have mercy on him, he actually wrote a very good tafsir of Surah Al-Kahf. It's very deep. It's called Faith and Materialism. But it really describes the importance of what Surah Kahf is. Surah Kahf basically is, the whole battle between faith and materialism, the whole battle between, having a Quranic mindset and having a secular mindset. Okay? Now, here's the thing, we are Muslims, we are living in this society. We're not supposed to be monks and we put ourselves up in a cave or put ourselves up in a mountain and just stay away from the people, okay? And stay poor. We have a duty to live our life in this world, okay? And as such, we're going to be influenced by what society is. And we know that, in the last few hundred years, Western society has gone from being somewhat religious to being, basically completely secular, okay? And we see these lessons now, as I'm going to go through one of these stories in Surah Al-Kahf. The difference between a secular mindset and, let's call it, a dini mindset, in terms of what? In terms of mal, in terms of wealth, okay? In terms of money. What kind of mindset are we supposed to have as Muslims towards money? What kind of mindset do secular people have towards money? Okay? Now, before we start, what do we mean by secular? Secular basically means somebody who thinks that the reach of the deen is limited to his private worship, okay, and that the deen does not extend to his everyday dealing in life, the mamulat, as we would say in Arabic, okay. And this beautiful story, it describes two people, one of which, and it doesn't say if one is a believer or not, but one of them is, at best we can say, his faith is weak, and the other one, his faith is strong. One of them has a totally secular mindset to money, and the other one is a total dini one. So let's go through this story, inshallah. just for the sake of time, I am going to only read it in English. Having said that though, the Prophet ﷺ did say the one who recites Surah Al-Kahf every Friday, it will be a nur, a light for him between one Friday and the next. So it's good to recite this, but it's also good to recite it with understanding so that that light actually comes into you. What is that light? It's the light of guidance, as I said. Sorry, just getting to the correct ayat. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Let's go. And present to them an example of two men. We granted to one of them 2 gardens of grapevines, and we bordered them with palm trees and placed between them crops. Each of the 2 gardens produced its fruit and did not fall short thereof in anything, and we caused to gush forth between them a river. Okay, so what is this talking about? It's talking about 2 men, and one of them, he has this great business set up. He's got this wonderful farm, it's got fruits in it, it's got crops in it, it's surrounded by trees, to protect it from the weather, and it has an irrigation system. These, the river that's going right between them. He's got it made basically at this point in his life. Now notice one thing here. We're going to notice this throughout this whole story. At no point does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala take this man to task for having wealth. Sometimes, we don't understand Islam. We think that having wealth itself is a sin. It isn't. Allah is the one who gives, so how can it be a sin? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can give to whom He wills. What is a sin, as we're going to see here, is the mindset you have when you have that mal, when you have that wealth. Now, one other thing to keep in mind is, if I was giving this khutbah to a bunch of villagers in Pakistan, say, it wouldn't make sense. Most of them, they're not going to be in a position to have this kind of wealth. Here, we're living in America. Most of us are educated. Most of us are professional workers earning good money. So this becomes much more relevant here. Okay? So listen up, everybody. Listen up. This is important for everyone here who is going to earn money. And he had wealth. So he said to his companion while he was conversing with him, I am greater than you in wealth, and mightier in men. Okay, so here we see the first thing in the secular mindset of money. The secular mindset tells you when you have money, brag about it. When you have money, don't be ashamed of telling everybody how much you have. When you have money, don't be ashamed of your poor neighbor and telling him. It's like, to give an example in these days, maybe you have a better job than your neighbor, and you're leaning over your fence, and you're kind of saying to him that casually, hey Bob, how you doing? You're doing good? Good. Hey, guess what Bob, did I tell you about that new Mercedes S550 I bought the other day? I paid with cash, Yeah, it's a wonderful car, wonderful car. What's that? You still have your Chevy? Oh, okay, how's that going? It's that kind of attitude, okay? That's what's being brought here. So, that's the first thing he does wrong. What happens next? And he entered his garden while he was unjust to himself. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is making it clear that what he just said and what he's about to say, he's being unjust to himself. Now the word unjust here, dhulm, okay, dhalim, it means oppressive, okay? And it also means darkness, okay? So all these meanings sort of come together. When you have darkness around you, it's because you're not following the light which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving to you in the guidance, okay? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala here is using the word dhulm as meaning oppressive, meaning He's oppressive. How can you be oppressive to yourself, you may think. When we use this word in English, oppression, we think about oppressing other people. But in many, many places, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses this word oppress to show that you are oppressing yourselves. Okay? So, oppression doesn't just mean oppressing others. You can definitely oppress yourselves in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He said, I do not think this will ever perish, and I do not think that the hour will occur. And even if I should be brought back to my Lord, I will surely find better than this as a return. Subhanallah. My brothers, this is for real. I've seen people like this. I come from a family, that my extended family was very secular when it came to money. Very, very secular. I can't even explain it. Okay? Not saying they were rich, but they were very secular in their mindset to money. Okay? I heard these kind of things where basically money becomes so important that deen becomes trivial. Money becomes so important that the deen becomes totally trivial and irrelevant to your whole lifestyle. That's what this guy is doing here. He's saying, oh, this is going to last forever. He's saying, I don't think there's going to be a judgment day. Okay? He's so happy, satisfied with his mal in this world. And here's the thing. He has this feeling which many rich people do. Allah has given me so much. Allah must love me. Allah must love me so much. And if I've been given in this world, even if there is another world, which I don't think there is, I'm going to get more there. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said very clearly, and this is either Surah Ma'idah or Surah Anam, I can't remember, Surah Araf, maybe one of those surahs, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, we have given these things, the riches, to both the believers and the non-believers in this world. But they will solely belong to the believers on the Day of Judgment. Okay? We know there are many disbelievers in this world. I'm not going to say any names because disbelief is only something Allah knows. Many very, very rich disbelievers in this world. Okay? Many people, many atheists if you like, in this world. And we all know that whatever money they have in this world, it means nothing on the Day of Judgment. They'll have absolutely nothing if they rejected the message of Allah and His Messenger. So, what happens next? His companion said to him while he was conversing with him, have you disbelieved in He who created you from dust, and then from sperm drop, and then made you into a man? But as for me, He is Allah my Lord, and I do not associate with my Lord anything. So now, the story shifts to the other man, who, as we said, has the Dini mentality. The Dini mentality starts with understanding that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who created you. The Deen mentality starts with understanding that Allah, when He created you, you are nothing. You are just a drop of sperm, which then merged with a tiny egg, and which then you started to grow from and came from. You came from a very, very small, what's the word I'm looking for here? Insignificant start. And look at you now. Who made you like this? Is Allah. If Allah is the one who made you like this, who's the one who gave you your mal? Who's the one who gave you your wealth? It can only be Allah. You think Allah made you a man, but Allah did not give you the wealth? Allah is the one who gives the wealth. He's trying to explain that to him by going to his origin. Then he says, as for me, He is Allah my Lord, and I do not associate with my Lord anything. Association, shirk. As Muslims, you should know that shirk is the worst sin. It's the only sin that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not forgive. And we should understand the various shades of shirk. Yes, we all know that doing what Hindus do, bowing down to idols, is pure shirk. But there are very subtle forms of shirk as well, which we need to understand. And this is one of those subtle forms of shirk. When you are associating what you have, not with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but with you. You claim, I have gone to Stanford Law School because of this, I'm rich. I went to MIT because of this, I'm rich. Etc., etc. Okay? If you are rich, you're rich because of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we see that when you do that is a form of shirk. So we should be very careful about this. And then he continues to give him some advice from a Dini mindset. Why did you, when you entered your garden, not say, MashaAllah, la quwwata illa billah? So now he's teaching him. And these are two wonderful phrases that we as Muslims have been brought up on. We all know. MashaAllah is the will of Allah. La quwwata illa billah. There's no power except Allah. The Prophet ﷺ said that La hawla wa la quwwata is a treasure from Jannah. Okay? These are two beautiful things, but when we say them, we should mean them. Okay? We shouldn't just say MashaAllah and then actually start thinking MashaAllah, but yeah, I'm really great. It's not how it works. Okay? I mean, yeah, you have to put some effort to be successful. But at the end of the day, without Allah's will, you can put all the effort you put into it and you won't be successful. I know I have. I'm sure we've all seen people who have all their life, all they're doing is running after money. All their life. And they end up, when they die, without a penny in their hand. We've all seen that. You can try as much as you want, but at the end of the day, MashaAllah, la quwwata illa billah. And again, like I said at the beginning, this is a difference between, the Dini mindset and the secular mindset. Inshallah, we'll continue this story in the second part. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله ولكم ولسائر استغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين والمسلمات. Bismillah walhamdulillah wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulullah. Okay, for those of you who came in late, today we are talking about the story in Surah Kahf about two men. One who is rich and has two gardens and wonderful stuff with him, and the other one who is less rich but has more of a dini mentality. And what we are seeing is how the Quran guides us. The Quran guides us by telling us stories like this, which we should listen to, read, understand, and contemplate. And the story so far we have learned, as I said, there's two men. One is rich, and that rich money has made him have a very secular mindset, whereas the other man, he has a dini mindset and is reminding him of the way things should be. So let's continue, inshallah. The man continues to say, "It may be that my Lord will give me something better than your garden, and will send upon it a calamity from the sky, and it will become a smooth, dusty ground, or its water will become sunken into the earth, so you would never be able to seek it." So the secular mindset thinks once he's made it, he's never going to lose it. Okay? And all of us over the last 2-3 years with COVID going on know how absurd that thinking is. How many people do you think we had who had amazing businesses, who were making so much money before 2020, and then COVID came and completely ruined their business almost overnight? You know, mandates came, vaccine mandates, you know, stay-at-home mandates. All these mandates came, and we know, I'm sure most of us know people personally affected by this. People laid off, people whose businesses collapsed. Okay? Never think that what you have is forever. It isn't. Okay? It is not. It's just a fact of life. Again, the secular mind is deluded by his wealth into thinking, this is mine forever. So, this dini-minded person, he is reminding him, and we see his dawah here is very good. This is the kind of dawah that we should be giving in countries like America, where there's a lot of secular mindset, where there's a lot of wealth. This is an example of dawah in our kind of societies. I'd like to say we can give it to the non-Muslims, but you know, to be really honest, we know that a lot of Muslims also have this kind of mindset when it comes to wealth. So this is important, you know, for dawah to anybody. What happened? And his fruits were encompassed by ruin, so he began to turn his hands about in dismay over what he had spent on it, while it had collapsed on its trellises. And he said, "Oh, I wish I had not associated anyone with my Lord. And there was for him no company to aid him other than Allah, nor could he defend himself." So, what the poor man says actually happens. Some great calamity comes, his whole garden overnight gets wiped out. His whole source of income gets wiped out. What does he say? He begins to turn his hand. You know, it's like this. He starts wringing his hands. Okay? And now the regret comes in. The regret. So he understands at this point, it's too late, that this is happening because of his mindset, because of the words he was saying. That, you know, he's getting payback from what he's saying. And he realizes that he's lost everything, and his attitude to losing everything, what is it? Is he now saying, "Oh Allah, I'm so sorry, please forgive me"? He's saying, "I spent so much money on this and it's all gone now." It's like anger, despair, as it were. And I'm reminded, this is a very touching thing I remember seeing many years ago in Pakistan, when a town of Pakistan called Multan, which many of you are familiar with, there were huge floods. Okay, this was a long time ago, 10, 15, maybe even 20 years ago. There were huge floods. And you know, the Western journalists had gone there, and you see this man, he's a farmer who's lost everything. And he's up to his waist in water. Okay? And he's being interviewed. And instead of doing this kind of thing, "Why did this happen to me?" He's saying, "Inshallah, we will start again. Inshallah, we will start again." I remember watching that, his amazing calmness, serenity. I don't know if I could do that. I really don't know. But this is the dini attitude when you lose something. Okay? Inshallah. I had it before, Allah will give it to me. Allah gave it to me before, Allah can give it to me. Okay? And then the last ayat. There the authority is completely for Allah, the truth, al-haq. He is best in reward and best in outcome. So, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to put some misfortune on somebody, you can have all the money, all the people in the world, you will not be saved from that misfortune. You will absolutely not be saved at all. Okay? We all want good in this world as well as the hereafter. And the message here is stick with what Allah has told you, and you will get good, both in this world and the hereafter, and the end will be good. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us to all that is good. Ameen. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت وباركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار اللهم اهدنا وسددنا يا مقلب القلوبنا ثبت قلوبنا على دينك وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين وأقم الصلاة.